Hey everybody, welcome to another boxing video. Today I wanted to talk to you about my follow-up thoughts on the Harvester prop. Now this is something that I purchased from Home Depot online a couple of years ago, and this past Halloween was the very first time that I got to use him, because when I first bought him, I got him on clearance. And I was very excited because he's a very cool prop, and I did a review on him on a previous video a couple of months back, so make sure if you're interested to see how he works and so forth, go ahead and check out that other video, because I'm not going to go back through all of that information. I just kind of wanted to give you my thoughts on how he worked out this past Halloween, since it was my first real experience having him in my haunt. Overall, I thought he is a very atmospheric prop. I mean, just look at him. He's very creepy. He works very well. In fact, he worked just a little bit too well. He's very, very sensitive. And I put him a little too close to my Halloween party area, and he was just constantly going off. So I actually had to leave him turned off for my party, which was right before the trick-or-treating time on Halloween. So the unfortunate part of that is that I forgot to turn him back on. So even when the party was finished, I didn't have him going for the trick-or-treaters, which is unfortunate, because he certainly would have been sensitive enough to detect them, detect their presence, and do his creepy thing, which again is very cool. Check out the other video. So that was one of the downsides. Now, the other downside was installing him in the yard. He comes with just one stake, and I thought this was going to be an issue when I first unpacked him, because you can't sit him down somewhere. Like, you couldn't stand him up on your driveway or a sidewalk or in the yard somewhere. You actually have to stake him in with this big giant stake. And I live in Georgia, and my yard is like all clay and dry and rock hard. So getting something this thick and wide to pound into my yard was no easy task. I actually had to end up getting a much smaller stake, and I pounded it in just so I could get this in there and kind of try and pound it down, which is also not very easy, because as you can see, it's got this, it's screwed onto the stake. So there's no real way to pound the stake in and then, attach the stake. That's too many stakes, but you get the point. It was hard enough to get this in the ground, with this thing attached. It's got two little pieces on the side where I kind of stepped on to try and wedge it down in there. But judging by my dirt marks, I really only had it about halfway staked into the ground, which is as far as I could get it. And the problem is also, getting it to stay upright was even more of a challenge, because the stake that he stands on is so long that just the slightest angle means he tilts quite a ways away. So what I ended up doing was staking it as far as I could into the ground, and then on the back of him, he has this little hook, because you could hang him on a door as well. So I just ran some fishing line. You probably don't know if you can see that in the video, but I just took some fishing line. I wrapped it around a tree that he was standing in front of, just to hold him in place so that he wouldn't fall over. And, that was a little bit unfortunate in itself too, because I had to make sure he was staked next to a tree or somewhere. I guess I could have put in a separate, like a big, a rod of some sort that he could have stood on. But, it really limited the placement of where he could go. So I didn't like that. I had actually considered maybe putting this in a big flower pot. Big, it would have to be very big, which, I guess that might have worked. But, with a flower pot, then the ground is a little bit, the dirt inside would be a little bit loose. I'm not sure that he would have stayed up. So it might be something I might try next year, if I put him out again. And the reason I say if I put him out again, I don't know if it was the weather or whatnot, but this scythe that he comes with is so cheaply made. It's just this sort of foam material. And I don't know if, having been outside in the cold weather or something, it's pretty brittle. And you can tell it's not as pliable as it was when I first took him out of the box. And as you can see, it's starting to rip. So I don't think this is going to make it. I mean, it might make it another season. It's probably not going to make it more than that. And that is also unfortunate, because it is attached to his hand. So there's no real way to swap out the scythe or if there is, I'm going to have to do some investigative work. We might end up taking off, the foam material as well, and maybe retrofitting a plastic one from another one like this Reaper I have back here. Maybe that'll work, but it's definitely not a long-term solution having this on here. The only other problem that I really had with him was getting him out of the ground, because even though I only had it staked in halfway, I couldn't really yank it out, and when I did, it came apart. This little piece that, all of these little sort of wooden pieces here connect together, and the way it is manufactured is that you put it in and you twist it so it locks into place and it stays there. Well, when this whole thing pops out, there's really not much you can do. So I'm going to take some epoxy now and try and glue this back in so that it is, one piece again. I guess it might stay without gluing it, but you'll easily be able to pop it out. There's no point having something that locks into place if it's just going to pop right out. So let's go ahead and try and epoxy this together real quick and see if that, solves my problem. Okay, so Tom is actually going to be the one doing the dirty work today. So let's go ahead and take a look here. He has got some epoxy. This is Gorilla epoxy. And we're just going to mix the two goos together here. Now, I was originally just going to try and use hot glue, but clearly that's not going to be quite as strong as this epoxy. So just take a moment here to get it mixed.
Ready?
Go for it. So you're just spreading a thin layer along the edge there of the piece, the side I should say of it. Pop into place.
It doesn't matter how it goes?
No.
Okay.
And how long is that going to take to dry?
I think it takes like 30 minutes, I'm not sure.
All right, so we will come back in 30 minutes. All right, so it has been just about half an hour now, and it's the moment of truth. Let's go ahead and give this a pull, and it is definitely bonded together. So this, again, was Gorilla Epoxy. Oh, actually, it says it sets in 5 minutes. Maybe I didn't have to wait half an hour. I don't know, but this stuff works really well. I highly recommend it. Just don't get it on your fingers. Should have worn gloves. Tom's living dangerously. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get this thing boxed up. Again, it just came in a normal old box, so I'm just going to start disassembling it. Now, this doesn't go in flat. You're going to have to put that sticking up like that. All right, now, if I recall correctly, he came in just a couple of pieces here. Ooh, there we go. All right, so let's try not to knock anything over. And now that I've talked about getting this glue all over everything, I better move that. Just throw that over there. All right, so I think we just, all right, can pull out his stake from the inside of his body. Now again, as I was telling you before, these just sort of, twist together and pull out. And that's where, I went wrong. Because when I was yanking it out of the ground, that's why it popped apart. Rather than pulling out of the ground. So keep that in mind if you buy one of these and use them. How you decide to display him could be a bit of a challenge. All right, and then the other thing is that his scythe here also, if I remember, just twists together. There we go, so we'll just undo that. Although it twists together, it does not come away. Oh, actually, here we go. It does move. It was hot glued. I can see it's got some hot glue marks in here, and maybe all of my moving it around has just now messed it up. So now it's never going to stay into place. But I'm assuming this one is probably also just hot glued together. So if we want to replace this, we probably can. That's a project for next year. So stay tuned for my third review on the Harvester prop when it comes around to Halloween again in the next year. All right. So I'm not exactly sure how he fits in the box here. Let's see if we can just stick him in straight. All right. Already those pieces are getting in the way. But we are almost in. All right, well, that didn't work out quite as I'd hoped. So, all right. Well, if you don't mind storing him like that, you could, but I can't do that. So let's go ahead and try this again. Let's pull him back out. I don't know how we get him in the box so his scythe doesn't stick up like that. Maybe if we do it like so. Getting things back in the box after Halloween is one of my biggest challenges. You'll notice that, like with my inflatables, I never go back in the box. I think I've actually learned the trick to it, though. I always try, I used to always try and put the inflatables in. Like, I would stick the fan in first and then try and stuff everything on top of it. Well, clearly that doesn't let the air escape. So now the trick, as I've learned, is always put in the fabric first, the fan last, so all the air can escape. There we go. And then maybe it'll close just like this box did. So, there we go, all boxed up for the season. Ready to put in storage. So stay tuned for some more boxing videos and after Halloween reviews. I'll see you then. So hope you had a happy haunting. Take care, guys.